Okay, so it's Sunday morning and I am waking up to some of the most god-awful self-tapes I've ever seen for consideration of representation. So I think this is long overdue. I'm going to go straight into it and I'm not going to hold back because at the end of the day, this is why you guys aren't getting called in. This is why you guys aren't booking. So the fuckery needs to stop. All right, so this is self-tapes rundown. First and foremost, you need to go to a professional self-tape facility. A lot of you guys are trying to tape at home and you're incapable. Seriously, you are incapable. And I can tell you that after having reviewed thousands of tapes over the last 5 years. You guys are incapable. Go to a self tape facility. Do not try this at home. You guys need to know your skill set. If you're not good with cameras and editing and all of that stuff and don't understand any of this terminology that I'm telling you guys need to go to a self tape facility. All right, a lot of you guys are taping at home. You're taping in front of doors. You're taping in the kitchen in front of your fridge. You're letting me see your living room. We shouldn't see your house. I shouldn't know what type of TV you have. I shouldn't see your PlayStation. Okay? This has to stop. And you might think it's funny, but it's not. It's really not. It's sad. And when we're talking about why agents don't hit you back, why casting doesn't give you feedback, it's because nobody really wants to break your little heart. I have no problem doing that. So I'm going to tell you right now your self tapes overall are absolute trash. And it needs to stop. You need to go to a professional self tape facility. Now, if you insist upon taping at your house because you feel like you are capable, you need to use a backdrop. Gray is a good neutral color. I'm not really a fan of the blue, definitely not a fan of seeing the green screen. You have to be careful with black and white, black especially because you need to have what is called separation of the background, which means you need to have a hair light or a kicker. So if none of this makes any sense to you, boop, stop, do not pass go, self tape facility for you. All right. Now, at the same time, you have to be careful if you use a white background because you're going to need to know how to white balance. And so, if you are Caucasian and shooting on a white background, it's really not advised. So, again, self tape facility. All right, let's dive into the meat and potatoes here. You need to be off script. All right, a lot of you are not off script and you're reading the damn script during your tape, which is not okay. It's not okay in any way, shape, or form. You should be off script for every tape. If you can't handle 5 pages in 8 hours, then you don't need to do this as a career because it's just not going to work out for you. If 10 pages overnight for you to go out for a guest star audition the next morning is too much for you, you don't need to have representation. This is not the career for you. You can stick to your little student films and short films and your little web series, but don't go get representation because you're just going to have us all jacked up. So don't hold the script in your hand to read it to me. It's not story time. Okay? You don't need to read me the story. What I need you to do is hold it in your hand in case you just happen to forget a line. Then you glance down like a professional, not drop your whole head down. You glance down casually while your reader is reading their lines. So that way you know what your next prompt is. So there's an art to it. If you don't know how to do that, you need to put your little butt in school because you're not ready for representation. So stop trying to get an agent. The frame up. So I was having a conversation with a friend who's a casting director, and we were sort of just kind of talking about the frame ups and just overall, self tapes and yada yada yada, and what works and what doesn't work. And so a lot of you that I've met have said, "Oh well, I tape this way with 3 feet of headroom above me because a casting director told me that." And I mentioned it in another video, but it still didn't get received properly because I had somebody tape from their desk with the camera pointing up. So let's go ahead and clear this up. First and foremost, you need to use a tripod. If you don't know what that is, self-tape facility. All right. What that casting director meant by the 3 feet of headroom is exactly what I have below. What they're trying to get you guys to do is frame up to where we're really only seeing the breast line, the nipple line basically, or the collarbone and up. And so they were actually quite brilliant for saying 3 feet because they know that you guys don't know camera angles. And so what I have down below are literally the camera angles that you should have. Angle shots, whatever you want to call it. So MCU stands for medium close up. CU stands for close up. Okay. So a lot of times you guys are doing your self tapes. Some of you are on like an ECU extreme close up where we're just like all up in your grill. That's too close. You're too close, man. Back up. Okay? So really what you want to try to do is make sure that your frame up has you in some sort of medium shot. We're getting just a little bit of body, but getting face, but not getting a full frame of face. Okay, and I'll show you guys more of these shots towards the end. So that's what they meant by the 3 feet of headroom. Okay, now this is for your frame up for your performance. All right, I'm going to talk about the slate a little bit too at some point. I think it's on my list here. Yeah, it's the next thing for your eye lines. Um, this is for performance right now. Now, for your slate, you could essentially use a medium close up or a medium shot, which is going to go out to about the waistline. And then some casting directors are asking you to hold up a piece of paper, but I'll get to that. So let's move on to the eye line. All right, so what is an eye line? An eye line is where your eyes are looking. So you're either looking camera right or camera left for your performance. And sometimes you guys are making the decision to literally turn your body at a 45-degree angle. You have to remember that a camera is a mechanical eyeball. And so just a slight 5-degree turn is more than enough for the camera. Okay? So really what you need to be doing is looking slightly camera left or slightly camera right, which means you could essentially just look at the right side of the body of the camera and that's more than enough. Okay? When you guys tend to look too far, then you're turning yourself just so far away that it's just poopy. Okay? All right. So for the slate only, the slate only, the slate only. That is the only time you look directly into the lens. The asterisk I will say is unless casting specifies it in a self-tape for performance. But it is very, very rare that they would do that. Okay? So for your slate only, that is the only time you look right into the lens of the camera and break what we call the fourth wall. That is the only time. Okay? So for that, you'll stand at attention, snap to, and you will proudly present your little stage name and who you're with. Okay? So, for instance, you'll stand there, Tiana Jackson, the Jackson Agency. Thank you for your consideration. Put a little smile on your face and then get right to your performance. Now, there could be times where they want you to slate with the profile. There could be times where they want you to slate with a full body shot. Okay? And so I think that a lot of you guys are taping in small spaces to where you can't actually get out all the way for one full wide shot. This would be an extreme wide shot in that instance. So you guys, again, need to go to a self-tape facility that knows how to do these. Places that still shoot on camcorders, they zoom out quickly after they've done a medium close-up to show your full body so that casting gets an image of you at the last second. Really great example of this is Killian's. Every time they send the tape, they talk to the person and then they zoom out and show the full body quickly so that we can just see them. The reason why is, well, think about it. You get a lot of people who, hide what they've got going on with their body. So you might have a skinny face, but you might be thick in the waist, okay? So we need to know that. We need to see that. That matters, especially when you don't have a wardrobe budget. All right. When you have your slate, don't ramble, don't stumble. Some of y'all act like you don't even know your name. So you might want to work on that. With us in the agency, I had somebody like blatantly just say the agency name all wrong, and I was like, "Really? How you mess that up? It's just Jackson Agency." So I don't really know what that's all about, but you guys should know how to say your name and your agency. Now, sometimes they do ask for your stats off in there, so they might ask you for your name, how tall you are. They might ask for where you're local to, or can you work as a local in this region, okay, and then your agency. All of that can happen. All right. What I will say is I gave a title card to my clients because they were jacking up the phone number, they were jacking up the agency name, so I literally made it idiot proof and gave them a title card that they can use. Somehow that translated into spell out my damn email address, list the whole damn phone number when they're slating. So at the end of the day, all you need to do is just slate with the agency's name. That's it. All right. They know how to find us. They have my number. Alright, so again with slating, follow the directions casting gave you. So if it's a profile slate, what a profile is your left and the right side of your face. So you're going to turn left face and turn right face, face forward, let them look at you and keep it moving. This thing should only be like, I'll say 8 seconds max. I feel like even that's a marathon in that. This is not a 30-second ordeal. It's really not. If they want to see your profile, we can pause the tape. See how that works? Okay, moving on. The reader. All right, you need a human, which means you need to go to a self tape facility. I'll say this again, you need a human, which means you need to go to a self tape facility, or you need to have your go to list of actor friends. No pre tape voices. This is where you're doing playback over a cell phone. It's just not working out for you. It's dragging, it's just not right. You're not good at it. Go to a self tape facility. Have a human in the room with you standing slightly to the side of the camera for your eye line. So, going back to what we talked about with the eye line, that way you have somebody to look at and connect with, because that's what you guys are all about, connecting with the other person. Okay? Make sure you get a reader who's actually good. There's nothing worse than a motherfucker who can't read. Yeah, I said it. It's the worst. Make sure you get somebody who actually reads. But there's a fine line, because there have been times where the readers have outshined the person performing the self tape. And I was like, you know what? I need to sign that reader. Okay? So if your reader is better than you, stop acting. Multiple takes. What we mean by that is a completely different performance per take. So, say you did the take the way you do your analysis, and then what'll happen is sometimes I'll come back and say, okay, try it more scared. Okay, and then I want a completely different performance take. That's what we want. We want a comparison and a contrast. Okay, try that out rather than just doing the take again and you feel like, okay, you may have, said a word different this time. No, try it as a completely different human being. Show us that you actually can act and are capable of pulling off characters. That's what I am looking for. I'm going to assume casting's looking for the same thing. When you turn in two of the same take, they're going to watch it and be like, well, this isn't much different from the first take, so I don't know why they sent in the second take. Okay? And there was a casting director who kind of said it once. They were just like, completely different. And y'all still didn't listen. Now, there was an instance where casting did ask for the second take to be a different frame up, meaning a different camera shot. So they may have had you do one that was more of a medium close up or a medium showing the waist, and then they asked you to go in for a close up. Okay, so sometimes that does happen. I would say only do this if casting requests it. Don't just go do this because you think that's what I mean. That's not what I mean. That is only upon request. Okay? So again, follow the directions of casting. All right, I'm giving you guys some generalization tools to cover your bases. Again, if you don't understand any of this, go to a self tape facility. Stop trying to do this stuff at home. Editing. Go to a professional facility because they know how to trim the clips and do what we need them to do. That's why they hold themselves out as a person for hire. All right, so I'm saying it again. We can start a drinking game today. Self tape facility. Self tape facility. Self tape facility. You should be ridiculously drunk by now because you should be going to a professional self tape facility. All right? I'll say it again in case you weren't listening. A lot of you think you are capable. You are not. And this is not a challenge, just so you know. I don't want you to be like, hold my beer. I'm about to go do this self tape. No, seriously. Overall, generally, you guys are just not good at it. So you're gonna have to fork over the $10 and go to a facility. And if the place is charging more than $10 for 10 minutes, then you might want to keep shopping around till you find a place that's $10 for 10 minutes, $1 a minute. That's what you should be looking for. And I've been around doing this long enough. I deal with a lot of people that are brand new and green who think that they should have representation for some strange reason. Then they go in and turn in tapes to me that have their kitchen sink in the background, their fridge in the background, their air conditioner unit on and blaring in the background. All of these things that make absolutely no sense. And then you wonder why nobody's representing you. You wonder why nobody's booking you. It's because you're showing us that you are incapable of being a professional. The end. All right, for the editing, you want to trim out the pre-roll and the post-roll, meaning when you press record and then go and get yourself set and all that nonsense you do, we don't want to see that. All right, so by the time this thing is done, all we should see is you going straight into the scene or you going straight into your slate. Now, going back to the slate, you can make those as different files, and sometimes casting will ask for that. They'll say do the slate as its own file and then do your takes. Okay, it's up to you. Traditionally, also, it used to be you slate and then go straight into your performance. That's fine, but I get what casting's talking about. If you're getting ready to tape like 6 scenes and they're going to be 6 different tapes, possibly 12 different tapes because you're going to do 2 takes each, yeah, you should definitely just have a slate file all by itself. All right? Okay, so this is where we also run into a problem with your file size. Your cameras now are designed to film in about 4K, which is 4,000. That's what the K is for. Okay, 4,000 pixels. Yeah, pixels. Um, so when you have the bigger the pixel size, the bigger the file is going to be. So if you've ever wondered why you have a 5-second tape that's 1 GB, it's because you're shooting in ridiculously high resolution. And so what I need you guys to do is shrink that file size down. Again, if this doesn't make sense to you, go to a self-tape facility. They should have some compression tools. They should know what to do. I'll give you something that is the poor man's compression. YouTube. If you have a YouTube, you can upload that file. Make sure that it is private and unlisted. I won't even say private. Make sure it's unlisted so that you can upload it. You have to upload it under your account and then you can re-download it. YouTube is the poor man's compression. It'll compress that file, then you can re-download it, then get rid of it off of YouTube. You guys are not supposed to be uploading all these things online, okay? But that's the easiest way, the fastest way I can describe to you compression. I have a software where I can encode things in any which way I want to. I can turn a MP4 or an MOV file, a video file, into an MP3 because a lot of times you guys again, we'll get voiceover gigs and you will turn in a freaking tape with your face on it. And we just want to hear your voice. So a lot of times, if I have time, I will just go and fix things and then just know to never submit you for anything voiceover again because you have no idea what you're doing. Okay? So again, you need to go to a professional taping facility. That includes voiceover. A lot of you are just trying to use your cell phones. You can hear the room tone and all kinds of stuff that you really shouldn't be hearing. So it is not as simple as I'm just going to tape it on my phone. I hate to break it to you. Okay. All right. So export the file size in a reasonable file size. File size is the size of the file on your computer. So when you go to your hard drive and you click on the file, you can either click properties or depending on how you have it set up, you could see all the files and it may show you the file size, the time of day it was created, the file type, all of that. That's what I'm talking about. You want to keep it below 20 megabytes if possible. I know some tapes are super long. You can compress the hell out of that sucker, but you also have to play it back and make sure the video is not choppy. Sometimes your encoding bit rate can be too slow, and that creates for a pixelated video that is choppy, okay? So the reason why we say keep it below 20 megabytes is because if you have to email that thing off, you want to email it as an attachment in the email. You don't always want to get in the habit of having G drive kick in because for some reason you can sit up there and set it on public and anybody with the link can view it, but there's still for some reason this thing where it'll prompt and the person has to ask for permission. Cassie doesn't have time for that. I don't have time for that. So it's so much easier if you keep the file below 20 megabytes so you can actually email it to me. And that's for all files total. So if you got to upload 12 files, then you need to make sure those bad boys are at like 1 megabyte each in order for it to get to me. Okay? Um, so you have to think about email. You also have to think about your internet upload speed. A lot of you guys are over here uploading things that are like a gigabyte, and you're like, oh, Actors Access timed out. My internet timed out. It won't let me upload the file. And I'm like, because the file is too freaking big. Because they take those big files and they even give you a warning. They're like, hey, warning, this file is way too big. It's going to take way too long to upload it. And then that site, their server has to work like crazy to compress it down to whatever they've set it to be. Again, I talked about this in the other video. You have to be cognizant of file and server space. That's why these people are charging you $5 to $15 a month to be on their site because you're taking up space on their server. They have to have dedicated servers that run 24/7 so that they don't cut out because of the nature of what we do. When their servers crash, all business stops, and you guys aren't thinking about that. And I don't know why you're not thinking about that. Think about when the internet goes out for you. You can't do nothing, right? You have to sit there and actually talk to people now. All right. Compression. Find an open source video compressor. I already talked about YouTube. I've given a detailed nerd explanation of file size, bitrate, etc. in the other self-tape video that apparently none of you watched because your tapes are still absolute garbage. Alright, save your exported file with your name, character, take number or name, character slate, that kind of thing. And then after that, I'm putting SC1, which is scene one, TK1, take one. Okay, those are good habits to have with your files. I get too many files that are just video one, and so I've got like 50 of those on my computer that are all my different clients who just tape something and then send it off, and they don't have good habits. You guys need to have good file labeling habits, because if you're sending a video to me that's just called video, then that means you've probably got 1,000 of those on your computer, and now you don't even know which project was what because you don't have good file labeling habits. Again, you don't know how to do all this, go to a self-tape facility, because a self-tape facility is really good about giving me a file that has your name and the character at least in it as a minimum. All right. Okay, sending your file. So it all depends on how it needs to be uploaded. If you have Actors Access and you've received an EcoCast, then if your agency has told you, and casting mostly, look, if casting sends you an EcoCast, they obviously want you to upload it to the EcoCast. That's the whole point. The agency may have a different policy, so you need to get with your agency and see what their policy is. Okay, when self tapes are getting really freaking terrible, then I will have you guys send them to me, so like several days ahead of time, so I can critique and send back. If you're really good at your self tapes and I've never had a problem with you, I will set it to direct submit, and then that'll allow it to go through immediately. But these days, I'm really just waiting for it to come in and looking at it, because a lot of you guys just are not turning in good work. Okay. Same thing for the CF cast. With the CF cast, I have to upload it sometimes when they want it straight off of a submission. Casted is another site that some of the bigger casting directors like to use for their upload qualities. Dropbox has been something that some other CDs who've popped on the scene have started using, and then others we email it in. Some will say email it to us, and so that's where we talk about that file size and making sure it is emailable. The recommended site that I use, or the site that I recommend at this point, is WeTransfer. WeTransfer is free for everything under 2 gigabytes. So if your file is bigger than 2 gigabytes, you already know you need to compress the hell out of it. Okay. Some of the other ones like FileSend and stuff like that, there was one that one my client used, and because it was free, they were just like, well, if you want to download faster, you can pay us $5.99 to unlock this, or we're going to download it at like 1 kilobyte a second. So a tape that should have been downloaded over the course of like 30 seconds took like 10 minutes. And so I emailed him and was like, never send me a tape this way again. Use WeTransfer. Okay, that is the easiest. The great thing about WeTransfer is, yeah, it'll expire after 7 days, but we can take that link and just send it directly to casting. I don't need to download it and then re-upload it and do stuff. The only time I'll do that is if something's wrong with your tape, and I'm like, ugh, and I might download it and fix it really quick, like recut it or change the slate or just throw up my slate card because you just were terrible, and then I'll send it off to casting via WeTransfer. So WeTransfer is my recommended file transfer site. Okay, so this is why compression matters. All right, so below is an actual memo that I typed to my clients sometime last year, and it was just out of frustration, really, more than anything. Um, so we've been receiving several unprofessional self-tapes, so I put together this memorandum to assist you. You should be using a professional self-tape facility to ensure the best possible outcome with your tape. So if you haven't gotten the theme of this video, you need to go to a self-tape facility. First and foremost, you should be following the directions that casting has given. There have been casting directors that have given very, very detailed, specific directions, and somehow you guys are messing them up. And I'll be honest, I had some clients come back. They were like, "Oh, I didn't see the sides in there," and then they then they sent me a screenshot of the EcoCast, and the sides were right there. So first and foremost, you need to stop and breathe when you get an audition, because a lot of you are just heading straight to the sides and you're not taking the time to research the project, see what it's all about, maybe find out who they've already cast so you can kind of figure out the theme of the show. Like, a lot of you are not doing any research or due diligence on your part, and that's not on us, that's on you as a performer to figure out all of that. So you need to stop and read the freaking directions. All right, if it says shoot in landscape or widescreen, that means turn your phone horizontal so that we receive video that fills the screen. That's widescreen. So you turn the phone so that it's wide in your hands. Everything's 16 by 9 widescreen. Vertical is a 4 by 3. It makes the screen very short. Okay. You don't want to tape in portrait. Okay, you don't want to tape vertically or in portrait. It's just not going to go over well for you. And you get casting that says, please turn the phone sideways. And I still got freaking tapes where the phone was upright. And I'm like, what is your malfunction? Casting specifically said that. And then one client was like, "Oh, I didn't even notice my buddy was holding it for me." And I'm like, "So you didn't notice that he was holding the phone straight up and down in his hands? Really? But you still expect me to turn in this fucking tape?" No, it's not happening. All right. If you are not good with technology, please just book a session at a self-tape facility. Look at that. At this point, you should be in liver failure. It would be a good practice to look around for at least three different places so that you have options when you need to tape quickly. And I say three as a minimum. You should have a whole GD list, okay? Because self-tape facilities get filled up, especially the affordable ones. They're going to get filled up very, very quickly, okay? So you need to have options. Don't come at me talking about, "Oh, well, Ace Tapes is all booked up and I can't get in till tomorrow morning." Oh, well, it sucks to be you because the tape is due tonight at midnight. So you just missed out on an opportunity, and you also just let me know that you don't have your shit together. So I definitely don't need to have you on active, and at some point, I definitely don't need to represent you. Below is a chart of the types of shots, and I'll get to that in a second. When you are taping your audition, please try to shoot as a MS, which is a medium shot, or MCU, medium close-up. And those are the ones I had showed you earlier when we were going over the eye lines and all of that. At the end of the tape, please make sure to shoot a LS, long shot, which would be the body shot that tends to accompany your slate. It is better to shoot a long shot than to pan down or tilt the camera down to your feet. Okay, and so what I mean is go out and shoot this, extremely wide shot that I was talking about that shows your whole body. That's going to be the only time where you're going to see what's behind the candelabra, if you will. You're going to see the curtain they've got hanging in the self-tape room, that kind of thing. That is pretty much the only time where you're going to have some unprofessional things in the background. All right. It is better to just get that as a long shot than it is for you to guys to tilt the camera down. One, you guys are terrible at it, especially when you guys try to do it with your phone, your little tripod on your phone, and it just looks stupid. And it just takes us out of like it's just stupid. Just shoot a long shot so we can see your whole body in one shot. The end. All right, when you slate, please slate your name and give the agency. We won't do this anymore. No more agency phone number along with any details. I will say the phone, I mean, just do the phone number, but I had people spelling out booking at thejacksonagency.com and all this stuff, and it was just stupid. It's like you can just say 818-538-5305 really quickly, but a lot of you struggle. I don't understand it. All right. And then along with any additional details casting may have asked for, such as height, location, or willing to do's. And that's what I was talking about earlier, where casting may ask for your height, your location, where you can work as a local. And then there are some that are like, yes, I'm willing to do nudity, or yes, I'm willing to wear swimwear, or yes, I'm okay with blood, that kind of stuff, okay? It is a best practice to label the file your name underscore roll underscore take and then use numbers of multiple takes. So it's like what I showed you earlier with the SC1, TK1, scene 1, take 1. Okay. We request that you use WeTransfer and keep your files under 1 GB if possible. I even got it down to that. Do not procrastinate with respect to your deadline and get your acting coach get with your acting coach as soon as possible. Yes, you need to have your acting coach. And stop procrastinating. It happens every time. I sit up here and kick out an audition, and one or two of you always come back and be like, "Well, when is it due?" And I'm like, "Okay, it's in the freaking EcoCast, but is it really due then? Because I've got this and I've got that." And I'm just like, "If you don't turn your tape in, you're gone." Okay. I don't understand why you guys are trying to procrastinate. And then those of you that do procrastinate, guess what's always happening when you try to procrastinate and your tapes due? Oh, breakdown services is down because their server needs to be maintained. Or, oh, your internet is down and you can't upload your file. So rather than rushing straight to the deadline, because I know that you guys are doing, you guys go and get the EcoCast and you go, "Look, when's it due?" "Oh, okay, it's due in 4 days. I have time." No, you should knock that out like right the hell now. That's what you should do. You should treat it as if it's an audition the next day, take the time, digest the materials, and do the damn thing. That's what you should be doing. All right, if you've worked with that casting office before and you know that casting director likes receiving tapes where your head is in the middle of the screen, creating 3 feet of headroom, then do that. And so that's what I talked about earlier. But I can tell you scientifically, I know why they said that is because you guys are incapable of shooting a medium close shot. So the easiest way for them to describe that, and what I mean by that is in the full frame. So for the easiest way for them was to tell you, hey, have 3 feet of headroom above you, and that's going to put you right at the clavicle. Um, so there you go. Every office is different, and this memorandum serves as a resource towards success. So These are generalized things, but typically if you can do some of the things that I told you about, then your tape will not be trash. All right, as mentioned in a previous memorandum, which I did, it was just bad. Tapes that are of poor quality or consistent performances that are not outstanding will not be sent to casting, and I'm serious about that. Like when your tape is trash, like you guys also have to think about your volume. Even if I have to turn my speakers up all the way to full volume and I still can't hear you, why would you think you should turn in that tape? Like if we can't freaking hear you, what's the whole point? We use sound now. Like, what are you doing? Why? And like, why do you guys? I don't understand why you think it's a freaking negotiation. Oh, well, I'll do a better job next time. There won't be a fucking next time. You're on book out. Okay? There's no next time for you. You had one shot. You blew it. All right, it's important everyone does their absolute best with all auditions, regardless of the project and despite any personal obstacles in your way, aka all your problems. Doesn't work. Casting don't care, Hollywood don't care. You need to turn in your tapes. Otherwise, somebody else who's ready is going to get your job. The end. Together, we elevate the image of the agency, which creates opportunities for all team members. So, together, everyone achieves more. Look at that. All right, so here's the shot sizes thing, and there's two of them. It's exactly the same thing. The thing earlier wasn't loading right, so I pasted it again. All right, so let's go through this. XLS, that is an extreme long shot, and you see the little guy there. You see how tiny he is. Don't do that. That's too much. All right, LS, that's what I'm talking about. Long shot. You got the head and the feet. That's what we want. All right. Medium long shot. They might ask for that, where they're just like, we want to see your body a little bit. We don't want to like see your toes. Okay. And then you have a medium shot, which is what I talked about, where you have the waist. It's at your waistline. Okay. Sometimes you don't want to tape tapes as a medium shot because it is hard to connect with you sometimes on that. You have to remember that your tape is kind of, we'll say, this quadrant, this size. And if I'm watching it on my phone, then it's definitely you're this size. So you're a little baby square. So keep that in mind. You're not always full screen like you think, okay? MCU is kind of where we're at. And we're not talking about the Marvel comic universe here. We're talking about a medium close up. All right? That's kind of your golden thing. If you can at least do this, you're good to go. Close up. You see how the clavicle's right there? That's what your casting director's talking about with the 3 feet of headroom. But a lot of you don't know how to frame up for this, so that's why he or she said 3 feet of headroom. Okay? These are kind of the two that are normal. Don't do this. This happened once. I still have nightmares. And definitely don't do this. Okay? In extreme close up. So we have a. Oh. I don't even know what the B stands for. Close up. B close. I don't even know. I have to go look that up. So we have the close up, and then another close up, and then an extreme close up. B close up. I don't even know what a B would be. Now I'm intrigued. All right, and this is the exact same thing. Go away. So there you go. You can find these shot sizes on the internet. That's where I got it from. All right. So as a baseline, MCU, CU. So you have to go up. There you go. These two. These two are your friends. All right, on your performances, and then this guy right here. You know what? Let me see if I can crop it. Crop it while we're right here. In fact, no, hold on. Bring that one back. We're going to crop it because some of you are visual. I realize that. And so I'm going to show you. Here's exactly who you should have. That's you right there. Okay? That is you. Crop it. Look at that. Alright, so let me take you and put you with my other friends up here. There you go. Those are the three. That's all I should see. Alright, this is your slate, your full body slate. Now you're going to have to cut back into an MCU to show the agency name if you have to print it out on a sheet of paper. Like, don't be stupid. Nobody can read a sheet of paper from all the way back here. It's been done. It's been tried. I don't understand. It's a very special breed. Something in the water with y'all. Alright, so, self-tapes. Cliff's Notes version. Go to a professional self-tape facility.